everyone. I'm Michelle, and I'm just here to welcome you tonight to our special Shape Reclaimed event. And we're going to start it off here on January 26th by me introducing one of our co-founders of our wonderful Shape Reclaimed program, Mrs. Linda Frisch.
Thank you, Michelle. I so appreciate you always being willing to moderate and help with this. It's just a wonderful thing. And I'm just really excited. I'm excited because so many of you participated in joining Dr. Todd and I with our 21-day New Year's cleanse. Hope everybody did great and was able to stay focused for the most part. I mean, there might be a little stray here and there, but hey, you know, if you did good most of the time, you did better than you were doing before. So that's all that we ask, is that you just put forth some effort. And tonight, I'm just crazy excited to be interviewing Lorie Loe. I watched Lorie posting in our feed, and I was intrigued by some of the things that she was writing about. And I reached out to her and I said, hey, Lorie, I'm so impressed with some of the things that you're writing about and some of the aha things that are happening with you during your Shape journey. And I wonder if you would be willing to share some of your thoughts with our warrior family, because so often people are posting about what they're eating, or can I have this, can I have that, when it's not really unplanned, and they're trying to, you know, squeeze something into the program that's not a part of the program, and they're trying to manipulate, and everybody's showing their recipes and all that. And Lorie comes from a whole different perspective. And I just want her to share some of what she has learned through this. So Lorie, I want you to, first of all, thank you for being willing to do this. I really appreciate it. And I want you to share with us, what has been your experience with dieting?
Well, Linda, thank you. First off, I really appreciate the opportunity to be speaking with you as well, and the opportunity to sort of connect live with so many other Shape Reclaimed warriors, users, all of the above. I'm just really thrilled. I've had such a great time posting in Facebook, and I've gotten such great feedback back from a lot of you. So I hope some of you who did that are on the call today. So I was also just very, very happy that you reached out to me, because I have had I think in some cases, a very typical experience with dieting. Like very many of those of you who are watching right now, I was on and off diets for, well, when I did the math, it was like 50 years. Literally, I call myself a serial dieter. I was on my first diet when I was, probably 10 years old was when the first one got started. And so coming into Shape, I actually had just enough of that. I was at a point where I was really overweight, and it was very significantly affecting my health. It was high cholesterol. It was, inflamed and swollen joints. I would get out of bed in the morning and my feet hurt. It felt like I was walking on marbles. It was really bad. And and so I just really knew that I had to do something about it. And in the past, like probably very many of us, what I would do is I would throw a diet at problems like that. I'd be like, okay, just got to get back on that diet again. And something in me really flip-flopped this last time. Once I did the math, as I said, about being on a diet on and off for 50 years, I realized that I just could not repeat that, because obviously it wasn't working. All of the programs I had tried, all of the branded weight loss, systems, the things I had done on my own, none of that stuff was working. So that's how I actually ended up coming to Shape, Linda, it was not working.
So who introduced you to Shape? How did you find out about Shape in the first place?
actually, I had a girlfriend actually a colleague who became a girlfriend, who I was kind of complaining about my situation. I was like, here
That's
I
what
am
we do with
again.
girlfriends, right?
Yeah,
We
no
complain
kidding.
to our girlfriends.
Absolutely. I was kind of complaining about, here I am again, I'm getting ready to get on another diet, but I know it won't work. And at least it's never worked in the past, and what's going to be different. And she shared with me that she had had some significant health issues as well. And she had actually, unfortunately, had a heart attack,
Yeah.
and had worked with a practitioner to deal with her cholesterol issue and to recover from that heart attack. And then it turned into, she had some weight she wanted to lose. And it kind of naturally evolved into, there's a way to use, kind of equalizing our body's metabolism, our chemistry, et cetera, to be able to just sort of, deal with this in a completely fresh way. And what a great girlfriend. I mean,
Absolutely.
she really allowed me to think, maybe this is different. So that's how I found out about Shape.
And then did she referred you to the same practitioner that she was using, or did you just go out to our website to find a practitioner and just found somebody, or how did you find Dr. Stacy Kimmel? He's a wonderful Shape practitioner. We've got some awesome Shape practitioners, and he's one of them, and many, many others are just amazing practitioners. And so you worked with Dr. Stacy.
Mhm.
And so talk to us about reaching out to him and just talking to him about where you're coming from and
Right.
your years.
Yeah, Linda, I did, Dr. Stacy was the practitioner that my friend had used, and I felt like the issues I was having was so similar. Who knows how close I was to a heart attack. Um, so I called him, and when I called him, I remember I had this very defiant energy about me. I'm like, yeah, I have dieted for 50 years, dude. There's nothing you can tell me about that. Absolutely nothing. I have been there. I have done that. I have done macros. I've done micros. I've done food combinations. I've done intermittent fasting. I've been there. There's nothing. I know how to lose weight. So it's just getting off that dieting cycle that I was completely addicted to. And, as bad as I was addicted to sugar and carbs and sweet foods to soothe myself, I was just as addicted to being on diets.
So tell me, what was the convincing um, aha moment that made you think, maybe this is going to be different? We say all the time, and many of you have heard Dr. Todd say that Shape's not a diet. We believe that all diets fail, that the brain gets a message that it's starving. And our program is so very different, and for a lot of reasons, and we won't go into that. But, what was that really made you say, okay, he said something that's different, and maybe this is different. So talk to us about that.
Yeah. And he totally did say something different. First of all, I had never worked with anyone, not even a medical doctor, to lose weight. To me, it was always this kind of shameful thing that I had to partake on my own because there was something wrong with me to begin with because I was overweight. So the fact that I even was like, I think that's a really good example of just how ready I was to do something different. The fact that I was like, okay, I'm going to talk to this guy and I'm going to tell him what's really going on. So very quickly it became clear that Shape was not only a very different program in terms of pursuing health and a healthy balance in terms of how our bodies really, react to the foods that we put into it, but also how our body chooses, hey, yes, I guess I can release that weight. I don't need that anymore. There's nothing stored there anymore that I need to hang on to. But definitely Dr. Stacy himself was just a terrific partner, and he and I hit it off. I think, I don't know if he appreciated my very, very in his face attitude or he just realized that when, in terms of having me as a client, that I was going to have a different experience with him than maybe he had with some of his others. But it was really the willingness to, because here I was very confrontational with him, Linda, but his response was, I'm in. I'll go down this road with you. I got you, girl, So he was pretty terrific. Um, and I have to tell you, I was even still a little bit hesitant. There's a part of me that was frightened that I wasn't going to be able to change this.
Yeah. And am I gonna try this and it's gonna be another program that I failed at, and then you'll have the shame, and that whole cycle will start all over again. So talk to me about those first few weeks. You got your drops, you had your consultation, you got your drops, you got your guidebook, you started reading it. Like you said, you feel like you knew every nuance of dieting. And so you got our program and started looking at it. Talk to me about those first few weeks, kind of, through that first, bottle of drops, and how things were going for you.
The first bottle of drops. Okay, so, I was scared, and but the program made total sense to me. I completely understood, again, having been on a diet so many times in my life, I completely understood the health benefits of the program, and the anti-inflammatory approach, the kinds of foods that were, because I did fast track, so the kind of foods that were on fast track. And so I knew this was going to help me lose weight. I knew that was going to happen. But quite honestly, what allowed me to get over the anxiety of those first couple of weeks was my check-ins again with my practitioner, in which he gave me, because I would get in there and complain about being hungry, or I'm discouraged, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm yada yada yada. I had a whole list of things I was worried about. And each time he would tell me, okay, here's what's going on with your brain right now that is causing you to think or feel that way. Here's what's going on metabolically that is giving you a craving for something that maybe you're not really hungry or whatever. And those conversations were pretty profound. The other thing that happened, Linda, was probably more clearly than I've experienced ever in my dieting history, which, as we've talked about, was pretty long, did I ever have such a clear experience of the difference between mouth hunger, the emotional craving to soothe by eating, sugary, sweet, processed foods. That was my thing. I'm not so into salty stuff. And legitimate hunger. I never have felt that difference as clearly as I did in those first few weeks with Shape. And it just got clearer and clearer and clearer and clearer as time went on.
So did you feel a difference, or your brain was was it your brain that was guiding you, or was it your stomach? You weren't really feeling what was it that really made you say, listen, girl, you're not really hungry. You're trying to fill, an emotional void of some sort, whether it be emptiness or anger or frustration or boredom or whatever the case may be. What was that really was the driving force for you to keep looking in and asking the questions? What was that driving force?
Right. Good question, Linda. It was largely a physical experience, because I would physically be hungry and I literally would feel it in my mouth and my jaw. That's where I feel mouth hunger, hence mouth hunger. It was the desire to, sort of orally soothe, keep myself occupied and have that nice, sweet sort of experience on my tongue. I hope it's kind of not a great thing to say in front of a group of dieters, but I would often fantasize about just falling into a bowl of pudding because I wanted the physical experience of being soothed and comforted. And I experienced that literally in my mouth. That's how I felt it. And then because I was committed to the SHAPE program, that was enough of a trigger for me to stop and say, okay, what's going on? You're not physically hungry because you're not feeling stomach or body hunger. You're feeling mouth and emotional hunger. So I would then ask questions. What's going on? What's happening? How are you going to deal with this? You said when you got involved in this, Lorie, that you wanted to do this differently. You wanted to deal with this. You were going to make this a different experience. So it was, I definitely used as many opportunities as I could to try to think about what was happening and to try to do it differently, to feel differently about it, have a different outcome and remember it differently.
We're always talking to our practitioners, and everybody on Facebook has heard us say and seen it written so many times, what is your why? Why are you doing this? And I think when you are feeling that mouth hunger, and it's really not physical hunger, it's so important to go back to, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this again? What is it that I'm trying to achieve? And in the 21-day cleanse, many of you were, engaged in reading my daily posts, and many of them, you'll notice I tried to put the focus and emphasis on the emotion, not so much what can I try to eat that's not really on plan, but I'm going to try to make it fit in there. Yeah, go ahead, Lorie.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something, Linda, that I think is pretty profound, because that was another switch that happened for me. I would say in the first the first month of SHAPE was that I realized that when I was cooking for myself or thinking about what meal I was going to prepare for myself, there was a point where I gave up trying to make it look or taste like my favorite binge food that I'd been able to have in some other form. How many drops of this, or how many ways can I share that? Yeah, to make it to sort of fool myself like I was still eating the way I did beforehand. And
absolutely.
Yeah, and the switch here was, nope, this is a lifestyle change here, and you're not going to ever look at sugary foods, which are delightful treats. I mean, but normal people, everyday people, make choices about that every day. And it's not that we go from a diet into a complete binge fest. And I think and I've done this, I have totally done this. I think when we try to disguise the food we're eating as something other than natural, healthy, whole food that is not sugar, and it's not pasta, and it's not bread, and it's not whatever, we deny ourselves the opportunity to go, yeah, this feels different. And it's not always comfortable, but I'm learning from this discomfort.
Well, thanks for sharing that. And we see that all the time. We see people trying to mimic what they were eating that was unhealthy, in a way. And I appreciate, Shale Masters is out in our group, and she's been just so wonderful to take an old recipe and make it into a SHAPE appropriate, healthy recipe. And hopefully people will throw away the old recipe and not go back to the old recipe, but find that we can make that thing that we love, that is a comfort food for us, we can make it healthier, and we can fall in love with that food, and that can be our comfort food.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, Linda, that happened to me. I'm going to tell you a true story, which is that, through my life, my very favorite binge food, guys, was white cake. And I would fantasize about when I could go back and eat white cake, and I spent thousands of dollars on white cake. I swear to God, I have. And so there was a point when I was doing Shape, it was in the first couple of months, and I would still even catch myself fantasizing about, boy, when this is all done, I'm going to go have a big piece of white cake.
Yeah.
I think about that because,
Sure.
the way that we've dieted in the past kind of helps us stay stuck in that in some weird sort of way. Anyway, so I was going out for a walk. I live in.
You know what, Lorie, let me just say something ever so quickly. And for me, I would never in a million years have a desire for white cake. I don't like cake. I would never want cake. Now, ice cream or cinnamon rolls, that's a different ballgame. So
Yeah.
we all are, we all have our own thing that calls us and, lures us in
And interestingly, Linda, I think it calls us because it satisfies a particular way we like to be comforted.
Yes.
There's something about that food that provides that sort of soothing.
Well,
Anyway.
there's probably something emotional in our past that ties us to that particular food. That means, you're loved or, whatever the case may be. So I get it.
Yeah. So I was on a walk, and I'm lucky enough, I live in Northern California in the wine country, actually. And so I was walking on a country road, looking out over the beautiful vines, the vineyards rolling off in the distance. And I actually as I was walking, I found myself thinking about white cake. And what would normally happen is I would continue thinking about white cake and thinking about how it tasted and how great it's going to taste, boy, when I can eventually eat it and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden I realized I forgot about it. I stopped thinking about white cake. And I literally stopped walking. I was like, oh my gosh, I just dismissed white cake. What's happening to me that I dismissed white cake, for crying out loud. And so that was a big day for me when I realized that I could change my taste buds. I could change what my body really wanted. I could do the emotional mental work to remember that I could find ways to soothe myself other than food, to the point where the cake became uninteresting. Floored me.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Now, so you're 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks into it. How are you feeling? You've had some success, and are you feeling empowered? And did you feel like, okay, wait, maybe this is way different than everything I've done. Maybe this is a lifestyle I can embrace.
Yeah, I really did have that experience. I felt great almost immediately. I think anybody who's done Shape will tell you that even the first week of not eating processed crap feels amazing, because how can you not feel amazing? And it's a great reminder what a toxic effect sugar and processed foods have on us. Sugar in particular, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I was feeling really good. And as I honestly, it's ironic that you asked that question right now, because I think, I'm into week 6, week 8, and I'm feeling really good. I've done well. I'm having a great experience working with my practitioner in terms of this great feedback on, hey, here's what's going on with you from a physical perspective that may be, this is what's happening in your body. So I'd had a really positive experience. And I think it was when I got to that white cake dismissal day that I thought, wow, I'm onto something. That I am on something here. So yeah.
That's great. So I guess, overall, what do you think, or why do you think, I should say, why do you think you were successful with Shape? And what was it that you feel was the defining thing that could allow you to be successful with Shape?
2 things. The first one was that I got to a point in my life where I absolutely believed that diets were bunk, that the traditional diet programs and the weight loss industry in general was just, I had to do something completely different because this was just a scam somehow. I got to a point where I was so exhausted, I was ready to try something different. And then definitely the other thing that was hugely successful for me was the focus on mental and emotional health. And that was amplified by my work with my practitioner, that this was not about so much the rules of the diet as much as it was the rules I had to teach myself to manage myself in a mental and emotional way. And this program gave me tools to do it. It allowed me to have a physical experience that made it happen.
You know, so often I'll see people post out on Facebook, or, we've heard over the years, oh, they just want you to see a practitioner. It's all about the money. And we're like, no, it's not about the money. If what you were doing on your own was wonderful and great and you were successful, you wouldn't need to be accountable to a practitioner. But we believe that checking in with a practitioner and being guided by a practitioner, and more importantly, this program being tweaked to your unique metabolic need. We're not a one size fits all program. And what is working for you, Lorie, is not going to work for Christy or Martha or Sandra or Sue or Vicky. You're all different. You come to the table with total different health history. Your body is responding to the program differently. Your urine is testing out differently. And from all of those things, the practitioner is trained to look at all that and take all those puzzle pieces and tweak the program to your unique metabolic need. And we will say forever that we believe our program is different and we have greater long-term success because we don't allow the brain to get a message that it's starving. We're looking at urine markers and we're making those adjustments, those food adjustments, so that your body metabolically is being tweaked so that you can have long-term success. Todd says all the time that, you take somebody. Yeah, go ahead, Lorie.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Linda, but
Yeah.
you said something that I thought was pretty profound
Sure.
that I wanted to amplify.
Sure.
And that is that, this idea, it was what you said right at the beginning, that if you work with a practitioner, it's about giving this practitioner some business. I got to tell you, my response to that is nobody thinks going to a medical doctor when you're in a state of dis-ease that you recognize in a more traditional sense as being out of alignment or, having a problem. Nobody worries about what they spend to go to a doctor. And,
right.
and this is, again, part of the big shift that happened for me was achieving great health, great metabolic balance, great body chemistry was absolutely essential to my well-being and was absolutely worth going to the doctor, if you will. It is absolutely worth it. That's the way we have to do it.
It is. And when people understand, Todd has always said, you take somebody that wants to go on Atkins, and sometimes we would use an Atkins approach. If somebody was walking straight into type 2 diabetes, we would put them on high protein. We need to pull them out of that immediately, but we wouldn't keep them there for a long period of time. But so many people diet and they're not taught how to slowly transition and slowly start adding foods back in and pay attention to what your body is saying to you. It's talking to you. Did you get a headache? Did you get gassy and bloaty? Did you feel like a slug? And more often than not, it's a healthy food that is causing the drama for you. And that's why it's so important to be monitored and have your urine checked, because the practitioner can indeed see what's going on metabolically, make that shift for you so that your body doesn't go into a starvation mode and you can have much greater long-term success. Michelle, you've got a question for us?
I hope it'll be okay to interject this.
Sure.
We have a lot of wonderful practitioners that are associated with the program,
Yeah.
but clients are reporting, of course, they're not all the same. They have different gifts and talents. They have different approaches.
Yes.
Linda, they would like to know if you could give perspective on how a person can go about finding the right practitioner for them and what's reasonable in that search. And specifically, some of the methods that Lorie was saying was so successful for her. One of the Shape Warriors says, how do you find one that addresses your metabolic needs more like what Lorie is talking about?
Can I, actually, Linda, can I throw something in and then let
Yes.
you answer?
Yes, sure.
I would say ask them the same questions I did. Ask the same question, saying, I need to have a very different experience. I've got a long history with trying to lose weight. I have a long history of sort of believing some of the false advertising of the weight loss industry, and that it should be just a program I go on and that's all I need. I need to have a real partner in this. I used those words, actually. I said, I need a partner that is going to explore this with me. So I would definitely ask that question and just see how they respond. If they get intimidated by that, I would see that as a red flag.
Well, and I want to be perfectly honest and say, we love all of our practitioners. They come from all different walks of healthcare. We have some that have been practicing for 30 years, 40 years. We have some that have studied intensely into the restorative medicine model. And so they're going to dig a little bit deeper. We have some that have come to us that are chiropractors that have been all structural practitioners, and they're trying to shift into a more restorative model. And I agree with you, Lorie. Ask those questions like, what will you do to help me with this? And we see on Facebook all the time, people say, my practitioner doesn't do this. My practitioner, not answering my questions. They're, whoever, whatever. We see all different kinds of complaints. You certainly, when you see somebody out there on Facebook that's really being successful, don't hesitate to say, who are you working with? I think if there's any one good thing that has come from COVID, and I don't think really anything good has come from it, but one good thing is everybody's doing telemedicine. I don't know a shape practitioner that's not willing to work with somebody virtually. Some of our practitioners are that's just a big part of their practice, and they're set up that way, and some aren't. We certainly, if you call Shape Central, we'll certainly talk to you a little bit and find out what your needs are. And then knowing the practitioners, we can try to help hook you up with somebody that we think would be a really good fit for you. But don't hesitate to reach out to some of the Facebook people and say, hey, I see you just got great labs back. Are you pleased with your practitioner? And can you let me know who it is? And now when people put out there, a lot of practitioners will post, I work virtually. And so interview them. Don't just accept one name. Go out there when you get a name, find them on our website, check out their website, read about what they're doing in their practice, call their office, ask if you can talk to them personally, ask those questions. So, do the work, find somebody that's going to fit. And again, I'm going to say one more thing. One person can have an amazing relationship with their practitioner, and another person thinks that very practitioner is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So, everybody is different. So, the only thing with bouncing around from practitioner to practitioner, realize that when you start with a new practitioner, they need to learn about you. So they're going to have to take full health history. You're going to have to start over. So there's going to be a little bit more expense to switch because you have to reestablish with a new practitioner. So I would say do your due diligence, call a bunch of people and ask questions, get a feel for them personally, check out their websites and find one good. Yeah, Lorie.
Yeah, Linda, and one thing I wanted to add, because I think this is such an important conversation, is because I was on diets for 50 years, probably my very first diet was one my family doctor put me on way back when. And so I have the heebie-jeebies about doctors anyway. I get emotional even talking to them because I expect to feel unheard. And it's taken me a long time to get used to standing up for myself there, which is probably why my practitioner really got a mouthful when I finally did speak to him. But I will tell you that my practitioner, I've never met him. We worked totally through telemedicine, totally never ever. And we're great friends. I mean, we found it.
That's wonderful. And really, I want to say again, our practitioners are passionate. They're doing shape. I would say the majority of them are doing shape because they've learned that our program is really different and it'll really help their patients heal from the inside out. And they're passionate to help their patients get off that crazy roller coaster where they've tried all these things and they haven't been successful. And if your practitioner isn't a good fit, you know, we'll all try to help you find one that maybe works better for you.
And Linda, just one more thing. Something that I think is important for all of us to just know as empowered human beings who have been kind of lied to by the diet industry and the food industries about what it takes to lose weight and what it will deliver to us magically if we do it, is I think don't what's the right word? I'm sorry, I can't thinking of it here, but don't forget or don't dismiss the effect you have on your practitioner in teaching them how to work with a client.
Absolutely.
In a way that really, really is a good way. Because that was, again, part of the give and take that got going with my practitioner was, I'm going to tell you what I need. And I'm going to tell you how I need to look at this in order to be successful. And so it's a two-way street. And I've never had that with a health caregiver before. I just never felt like they listened to me. And frankly, I don't think
when we were in private practice, Todd would say to our team all the time, look, we are the employee. Our patient is the employer. We are working for them. They can fire us anytime if we are not meeting their needs. And we would let our patients know, look, we're doing our best, but if we're not helping you, but by all means, we're going to try to help you get to somebody that can help you because we cared enough about them that we wanted them to heal. So, if your practitioner isn't working, have a heart to heart with them and say, I need more than what they're giving you. And if they can't meet that, then we'll try to help you find one. And Lorie, you mentioned something about the food industry. And I want to kind of switch from that. And I hope we've answered that question that people, if they need to find somebody new, we'll try to help you. But another question that I have is, so, you mentioned a little bit about the food industry and, we've said forever, if there's any one thing that needs regulation, it's the food industry. I mean, they are brainwashing everybody. And I think why our program is so different is because we do eat real food that God has put on this earth. We don't complicate it at all. We don't have prepackaged anything. We're not all about smoothies. We're not all about bars. We're not all about that. And I think a lot of those diet programs fail because they just mail food to people and they don't learn a doggone thing. They don't learn how to cook. They don't learn how to food combine. They don't learn anything. And that's why we feel we're different. So talk to me about, your perspective on the food industry.
Wow, talk about a can of worms, Linda.
Yeah, I know.
I'll try to just skim the surface a little bit. So I have a couple of different responses to that. The first one is thanks to Shape. I think I probably always thought this in kind of a political sense, throughout my life, that of course, the big food producers and the food industry, they're obviously for-profit businesses. And actually, it's funny, when I was younger, I went to school with a woman who was studying, no, actually, she had her first job after college and she worked for one of the big food manufacturers. And her job was, she worked on a very well-known product. If I told you the name of it, you would all say, I've had that. But her job was to increase the mouthfeel and the taste of the product. It was not to increase its nutritional value
Right.
in any flippin' way. And I think the last year that I've been working with Shape and really having this experience, it's made it very clear to me that that whole industry does nothing except want to make money. Rightly so. It's a for-profit business. I get it.
That's
But
right.
the fact that they sort of couch it in the form of nutritional value or benefit in some way, that really bothers me, because there is no
Right.
nutritional value or benefit in a box of low carb whatever. There is no
Right.
nutritional
That's
value.
right.
Absolutely
They
none.
do nothing. They do nothing to teach self-responsibility. They
Mhm.
do nothing in
Yeah.
that regard. And I feel that's one of the things about Shape that is so beneficial, is really learning to take self-responsibility and learning how to cook, taking the time to prepare food, thinking about, is what I'm about to put in my body going to build me up, restore me, repair me? Or is it going to break me down? And is it going to be toxic? And my body's going to have to figure out what in the world to do with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right, Linda, because that brings me to my feelings about the diet industry.
Yeah.
And, it's the same game. It is absolutely, I'm going to package up a series of rules. I might even package up food and ship it to you. But the promise is, do this and your life will be wonderful. And
Right.
that is just a lie. And they bank on it again and again and again. I firmly believe that. And I think there is some effort by some of the programs that are operating and trying to help people with weight issues right now, who do focus on psychological changes, who focus on keeping weight off, as opposed to, hey, just get those pounds off. But that's another industry that I take to task.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had
So
such
tell me,
crap experiences.
so tell me, what advice would you give to somebody that's considering Shape, or somebody that wants to talk to a family member or a friend
Mm.
about considering Shape as a wellness program? What's some advice that you would give to others?
Wow, there's two really good questions in there, Linda. The first one is, what advice would I give to somebody considering Shape?
Yeah.
I would say, you have to understand that this is something completely different. And I know I've used that phrase many times already, but
Mhm.
that's really what it is. This is going to ask you to do something completely different. It's not going to feel comfortable all the time, but the point of what you're trying to do is learn how to sustainably feed yourself, both emotionally and physically, in a way that you were meant to be fed. you
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
so I would focus on that you're going to have a very different experience, but the outcome, and it's not about gaining perfect happiness in your life, unlike those other diet programs. It's about really learning how to take care of yourself in a way that you were never taught.
Yeah.
The other question that you had said about how do you talk to family members about it, man, I have to tell you, I would like to hear what other shape people have said about that, because I still carry embarrassment and shame and stigma from being a dieter for 50 plus years, gaining and losing, and always being the person in the family who had that problem. I still really struggle with telling other people and other family members, really coming out, if you will, about that. And so I very recently, when I started participating in the Facebook group, I started doing the same thing with my family and telling them what I had done. And, got the usual great comments, hey, you look great, whatever. And that's always nice, but it is the life that we lead after we lose weight that really is the test of how do we implement the change and how do we make it stick and make it happen for us.
Yeah. And I just feel, and I've said it so many times, and I'll keep saying it, I think sometimes we just have to humble ourselves, and we have to go to our family and our friends, and we have to say, look, this is not an easy thing for me. I need your support.
Right.
I'm trying. I feel better when I eat this way. And when you continue to tempt me and taunt me with things that are so hard for me to walk away from, but they're not good for my body. I don't feel good when I eat that. I think having a true heart-to-heart conversation with those people that really care about you, I think they care enough that most of them will honor your request to help you. I don't know. That's my feeling. Maybe I'm wrong, but
Linda,
hopefully people do.
Yeah, if I could add something to what you just said, I think you're right. I think in terms of, we can all make judgment calls about the family and the friends that we feel are going to be ones who support us, and ones who don't necessarily, you don't want to put your pearls before swine, as we say. And be cautious and careful about who you share this very personal and transformational experience with. Now, we've got immediate family that we share our meals with and stuff like that. Obviously, the jig is probably up. They probably know something's going on there. So that is a different kind of negotiation. And I think if one finds a way to say that, look, I feel like I'm being poisoned by this old way of eating, and when you want me to participate in what I feel is something that's very bad for me, I feel like you're trying to harm me. You're offering me heroin. You're offering me poison. Yeah.
So tell me, what's next, Lorie? What's next for you? What's the next step?
Oh my gosh.
Shape for a year, and what's in the future for you? What, as Shape, do you feel the way I do about Shape? Shape is just a part of my life. Of course, it is a part of my life, but it has been, but for 11 years. But I don't think it has to be a on again, off again thing. I think when you embrace a Shape healthy lifestyle, you're choosing what is going to work for me, that is going to be balanced, and what's for you? What's next for you?
Wow. Again, a really good question, because for me, it is an ongoing learning experience. As I told you at the very top of our conversation, I'm an extraordinarily experienced dieter, but I have almost zip experience not being on a diet, or not being focused on losing weight.
Mm-hmm.
And learning how to integrate healthy eating into where there's not the objective of, okay, I'm looking at the scale. That was another big mental shift for me that I'm still really involved in. And but I'm so passionate about my experience and about this program, and about the relationship that I have been able to kind of force on my practitioner, kind of insisted that he give me, that it's changed me in all kinds of ways. So for example, the holidays just kind of wrapped up very shortly. Well, I gained some weight over the holidays, like a lot of people did.
Mhm.
And in the past, what I would have done, Linda, is I would have become ashamed and embarrassed
Yeah.
and not told anybody and pretended like it wasn't happening.
Yep.
Just kind of get into my little self-soothing cocoon. It would have perpetuated the mental discomfort, which then causes more craving and more, choice to eat foods that
Right.
perhaps are not the ones you
Right.
should. So I've been working on that. I instead of getting very quiet about it, I started to tell people about it. And
Good.
I got right back in front of my practitioner and I said, hey, here's what happened to me. And I want to have some interaction with you to negotiate this change. I got some things I need to learn. I need to try some stuff. I need to think about some stuff, and I need a sounding board. I need my coach. I need that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Well, that's good
So
that you reached out. I think we all need to humble ourselves and do that. And I think if you set a boundary for me, I've got like for speeding, my boundary is I'll go 5 miles over the speed limit, but I don't go more than 5 miles over the speed limit. But I don't follow the speed limit. I confess, I go 5 miles over. And that's how I am with my lifestyle. I'm one that is not traumatized by the scale. The scale is a gauge to me that says rein it in, or hey, you're doing okay. You're staying pretty balanced and your weight is maintaining and you don't have any crazy symptoms, so you're doing okay. But as soon as that scale inches up over that 5 pound mark, I know I need to rein it in. So I know that doesn't work for everybody because for some people, the scale is the enemy of the century. So everybody has to find what works for them, but that's good. And Michelle has her finger up. So and I think, Michelle, one thing I think I'm going to just wrap this up and then we'll open up for all questions. So Lorie, you've shared that you're just kind of jumping back in and gonna, not that you were out, but you just were a little more lax. And so you're going to rein it back in and you're just finding how to, live imperfectly perfect. We're not perfect people. We don't expect perfection. There's got to be room for some ebb and flow. That's what embracing a lifestyle means. So let's get some questions in. How about that?
Yes. We have a shape warrior that we love and appreciate, Amy, who said the biggest problem she encounters was, again, around the holidays that you both were just speaking about with her mom. Her mom made all her favorites, even though she knows Amy is doing things differently. And she literally put chocolate right under her and said that she needed to eat it so that it's not all left at her house, and that Amy caved into the guilt. You kind of talked about what you do to approach family members that are not being supportive. So I don't think you need to hit on that necessarily again, because we know we all have to put up boundaries. But what special encouragement or coaching would you say when someone has to actually face that, whether it be their spouse or their children or their parents or their coworker, the people that are around them day to day, who are outright not only not being supportive, but being directly trying to set up obstacles? What encouragement could you provide those individuals?
I wonder if it would be beneficial. I mean, most of us know our family and we know how they're going to behave. And I wonder if it would be beneficial before you go into the situation to call ahead and say, I love and appreciate all that you want to do for me, but could you please not make all this extra stuff for me to take? It makes me feel guilted if I don't, and I don't want to upset or anger you. So maybe try to be preemptive. I don't know. That's kind of on the lines of having that heart to heart. And sometimes maybe you just say thank you and you take it and you might have to throw it away. I've thrown plenty of stuff away that has been given to us. Yes, Lorie.
Yeah, I feel a lot of sympathy for that,
Yeah.
the that question, because I think that is really hard. And there's a couple of things at work. One is the family member's anxiety that their relationship with you is changing in a way that you bonded, or they had control over you, or whatever
Yeah.
is changing. So that's anxiety producing for them. But the other thing I was going to suggest was, again, and I know how hard this is, I've been there. If we can own that we're being vulnerable when we talk about the fact that we have trouble controlling ourselves with different kinds of foods, and just say, you're hurting me, you're going to hurt, this hurts me when you do this. That takes a big leap of trust to tell a family member, you're hurting me. I can
Yeah.
just imagine the conversation that follows
Right.
that.
But maybe with, I love you so much, but this hurts me,
Mhm.
and so, yeah, so I'm
Yeah,
a person
yeah.
that kind of says what needs to be said and gets me in trouble more than you can know, but I just think it's
Yeah.
better to be honest than to not be honest.
And several of us have Shape Warrior buddies that we've come close to over time. Some
Mhm.
of us might leave a pun for each other every once in a while. I'm just
Yeah.
joking too.
Yeah.
But a lot of us have each other's instant messenger or text. And I would just encourage some of you that you, again, reach outward when you're needing support, but to build relationships. And if you're in those scenarios, I have stepped out of a room before when I've been tempted and talked to someone you might think of as a support system or a sponsor in another
Good
type of
idea.
program. It's the
That's
same kind of thing, and they can set you on straight, or your head on straight, give you
good.
some encouragement, and you go right back in,
That's
because
good.
that's not the
How
practitioner for.
about how about a new question?
Yes. It goes along with that. Hi, Martha. Thanks for being here tonight. And she asks about socializing on Shape also. She finds it hard to cook her Shape recipes for company because she says they just aren't as good as other things. How do you
Well,
socialize on Shape?
boy,
I don't know.
oh, I'm sorry, Lynn.
I just had company, for 4 days, and we, I would say 90% of our meals were Shape. We ate Shape, and I think just try to find those things that are really, really great. We've got a lot of really great recipes that are just phenomenal, and get a handful of things that you really, really like, that you think people are going to like, and get really good at that and make that be your go-to.
And I would just add to that, that was my experience as well. That was definitely the hardest part, even when I was well into shape, and I was in my last couple of weeks of fast track. That was the hardest thing, was even going out and it's hard, and I did a lot of it during COVID, like you guys are now, but that was definitely the place where I felt myself wanting to recreate the fun that came from endless margaritas and endless bowls of chips or whatever. And so those were people that I loved, and I was very clear about what I was doing, and everybody thought that was kind of cool and okay, because I was really upfront about it.
Yeah,
Um,
I think
and I
that's
also avoided socializing over dinner specifically. There was a while, if I felt like it was not going to be good for me, I made a choice to take care of myself. Nobody's going to question if you got to stay home because you're sick, so don't let you or anybody else question you if you're staying home because you are healing this part of yourself.
Yeah, sounds good. Good. Any
Just a reminder to put your questions in the chat. There are a couple that are more medically minded, and Linda, I'm going to still say them, and you can tell me if you want to answer them or not.
Okay.
1 second, I'm sorry. I'm scrolling.
Yeah.
If menopause is really stalling your weight loss, what can we do?
Well, that happens for a lot of people. And I say, more than anything, make sure that you're getting a full endocrine labs done. And, if your practitioner isn't one that's good, get to a practitioner that can get full labs done so you know that your hormones are being balanced, because that will fight against you. And you all know that Shape was developed for me primarily because I was menopausal and I was doing everything right. I was eating clean. I was exercising like a crazy woman. And I continued gaining weight. And some people go, "Oh, you can do this without the drops." Well, let me just tell you that I did all the right things for a long time. And hormones are very controlling and manipulative, and they were the boss, and I couldn't break through. And it was the drops that really made the difference for me. So eating really clean, taking the drops, but making sure that your hormones are being checked and that those are being balanced and taken care of. Make sure your thyroid's being checked. So, when we hit menopause, man, it's our body's in a turmoil, no different than when we, went into puberty. That was really hard on us. And menopause and andropause are equally, challenging.
Kind of,
I
go ahead.
agree.
Okay, good.
Kind of two parts, but first I want to know if we could have a recap, or if you didn't state this, Lorie, how do you think that shape was a success for you? How was it successful, or what did you accomplish by being involved in it?
Oh, well, I guess on the quite literal level, I accomplished losing 50 pounds in 6 months. I absolutely got rid of this terrible joint pain that I had, this sense of heaviness. I mean, I just felt amazing, felt and feel amazing. The other thing that I accomplished is I had this tremendously positive experience of really going on a mental program. It was not, I insisted that it be more about the rules of a program, and I instead made it about an emotional mental experience, which, as I told you guys at the top of the conversation, was not comfortable the whole time, of understanding the difference between mouth hunger and physical hunger, and how nourishing myself with really great, healthy, whole food really helped me alleviate those cravings and that crazy roller coaster that I was on. It's like I just became a fanatic. I mean, I eat probably 20 cups of vegetables a day, you guys. That's my entree. That's the first thing I think about is what vegetable am I having here? What am I putting on here? And then, oh yeah, and then I need some protein. So I'll throw some protein on as a condiment.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
And for many of us in the program, it has been a longstanding struggle, or this isn't the first time we've tried it. The question is, what did you do intentionally about your mindset to overcome the things that would have been setbacks for you in your previous attempts? And what did you do intentionally in your schedule or physically in your life to overcome those things that would have been a setback previously in your earlier attempts?
Wow, that's a really great question. Well, two things pop into my mind. One is that I talked about that mental emotional work. Well, I actually started doing, and I always had done a lot of this anyway, but I journal every day, and I would journal about the experience of how crappy I was feeling, or God darn it, hey, this is not because of I want this food, it's because my mother did this when I was 12 or whatever. I really stayed, I have this journaling practice that I really amped up during the height of the program. And I also got all that food out of the house. I think there were a couple of things that hung around up in the upper cupboards that I had friends that would snack on when they would visit. But I did not have that food in the house. My shopping list completely changed. And the other thing that I really did, guys, and I this is somewhat mental but also physical, is I never tried to fool myself that I was eating a piece of cake when I was really eating a salad. I just really learned to embrace and taste the goodness of these fresh vegetables and fresh foods and really natural foods. I really allowed myself to have that experience. Did that answer the question? I want to make sure that I got the gist of what you were after there.
I think so.
Cool.
Linda, we have a shape warrior who's a pescatarian and has some concerns about a couple or 3 ingredients that specifically seem to be from animals, bovine and ovine, that are in the shape drops. And they would like to know, maybe it's not here, but how they could receive some information about how to proceed, but still stay true to their beliefs and how they eat food.
Well, I wouldn't be afraid of the drops because remember, they're homeopathic. So there's no physical, homeopathy is energetic medicine. So there is no physical animal in this product at all. They take one part, they dilute it, and another drop of that, and they dilute it and they succuss it. And so in our ingredient, you know, some things are 30x. So it's one part succussed, you know, and then another part, and then succussed again, and another part, and succussed again, and another part, and succussed again. So there's actually, that's why they say scientifically they think that this is placebo, because there's no physical ingredient. So I would say, please just go out and study and read a little bit about homeopathy and the philosophy behind making homeopathic tinctures. And I think you'll understand that you're not getting physical animal parts. So I don't know that I'm doing a good job explaining, but I mean, there's so many great websites out there that really do a phenomenal job of explaining the premise behind homeopathy and how they make homeopathics. And, you know, don't hesitate to call Shape Central and leave your name and number and ask Dr. Todd to call you back directly if you still feel a problem. But I don't know if, I mean, you know, will trust us, but Shape, know that Dr. Todd has been using homeopathics for 4 decades. Every ingredient in this formula has been used for 4 decades with patients from all walks, all different dietary, all different religious needs, and we've not had any negative issues from it. So I hope that helps you. And if not, if you feel the need to talk to Dr. Todd directly, call Shape Central and ask to speak with him specifically. But before you do that, do a little homework and look into what is homeopathy and how are homeopathics created. And I think you will understand and not be as fearful.
And I just want to point out the number for Shape Central is not only in the chat, but that if you go to the shapereclaimedpatients.com, at the bottom of the website on the main pages, it has the address and phone number where you can contact staff if you don't copy it from the chat here tonight.
Right.
So just for future, there's a request for these talks to be opened up to the general public so we can invite people to learn and hear all about the blessings of the SHAPE program. And so I know we've talked about that before, but I don't know if you want to address that, Linda, or not.
Well, I don't, you know, SHAPE is a closed group.
Yes.
And so I don't know if there's a way that we can create something and put it on our website. I know that in the past, when we were putting on an event, we would put it on our website, so I can talk to our team and see if when we put this out on Facebook, we could also put it on our website and then people could go and copy it from our website and put it in their own personal, would that work, Michelle? I'm not a computer expert.
Well, they're out there for anyone to see right now because we're not currently logging into shapereclaimedpatients.com. So anyone in the public could go see these presentations at any time. I think that would help some people with the requests. And I think some of there is the request is to allow people to ask questions before they join the program. So maybe we can take that back and think about if that's something that the staff would like to do.
I mean, we're all open for, any general public learning about SHAPE. We're all about that. The one thing that we are cautious is that we're not sharing every ounce of our program out on the general platform, and people feel that they can just go out there and be doing it and not be doing it with a practitioner, because we want people working with a practitioner. They're going to be more successful. So certainly you'll never hear us giving all the details to our program on a platform like this. But when we put it out on Facebook, Michelle is providing the Zoom link. Anybody can just copy that from the post and you can send it out to your friends and family, but we'll see if we can't get it posted. I don't know how, but I'll have to ask the team.
Yeah. When we're posting it in the Facebook group, I just want to make it clear, we're usually posting the video. And so anything that's shared in the Facebook group, because it's a private group, it cannot be shared outside of the group. So, but if we ever...
Could they copy the Zoom link before the event and give it to people?
To be here, like in tonight, yes, but we haven't made that offer to people. We've only said that SHAPE warriors are invited.
Oh,
so
I see
that's
what you're saying.
That's exactly what this SHAPE warriors asking.
Wait a minute. But once we get done with this event,
yes,
we put it on Facebook, but we also put
it
in on our website under podcasts and videos. So anybody in the general public can go out and watch it there, right?
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Linda and Michelle, I am so sorry. I actually have another appointment. I'm going to have to drop off here in just a moment, but I just want to let everybody know that feel free to send me a private message on the Facebook group if you have any more questions for me specifically. But I hope this was helpful and made everybody feel.
Thanks, Lorie. I just want to thank you so much for giving up your time this evening and just being so open and honest and allowing this organic conversation to even happen. I think it's going to help a lot of people, and just want to thank you again, Lorie.
Thank you, Linda. It was a lot of fun. We can do it again if you want.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.